This is Mark and Charity's Coffee Podcast.
Mark and Charity Coffee Podcast, 1st of October. First one of October. It's October the 3rd.
Yeah.
This is the first podcast of October. Do you want me to start over?
No.
We're this deep into it already.
It's just because you're back from holidays and
oh my gosh, I'm
you're
still
confused.
so cold. I'm so cold.
You're thawing out is what it is.
I play this real tough guy on the camping scene. Like when people talk to me about camping. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm this rugged outdoor guy. Yeah. It's going down to 4 degrees tonight.
Blanket.
You're friggin' crazy. It's what?
Well, as you've kept saying this morning to everyone, late summer.
Yeah, I'm a late summer
fall.
camper. I always say I'm a fall camper. I camp in September.
Summer camper.
Yeah, fall arrives September the 21st to 22nd.
Yes.
That's good. I'm good. I'm out.
I'm done. I'm ready to have everything gone.
It's literally by Wednesday, Thursday, we get the vestiges of Ian there, or one of the other storms. I've lost track.
Fiona.
That have struck farther east.
Incredible too.
Devastating.
Oh my gosh.
We have friends that live out there. Devastating. Saw their pictures.
I'll have to show you the pictures of where we were this summer.
Yeah.
In Prince Edward Island.
Good thing you went.
What it looks like now. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So, we just got some of the rain. I'm not going to complain, but, the temperature went with it. And I've decided that I'm not a fan. No more. That's
well,
it.
at first, I'd say it's first started around the beginning of fall, so good on you for going because you left after the first day of fall. But this weekend, once October arrived, it was like, we're just going to take the floor right out from under you.
Yeah.
We were teasing, and now, boom, we're in it. Although I still have bare feet.
Yeah, I don't know how you can go sockless still. But again,
it's going to warm up to, but the thing is, it's up to 16 today, 18 tomorrow.
Yeah.
So it's warm during the day. It's just when we get up at the ungodly hour we do, first thing in the morning, it's cold.
I dress for 4 a.m.
Yeah, so
I don't dress for 4 p.m.
Well, I
can change when I get home. But again, you're very young.
Yeah.
You are. You're very,
so
very young. You're so
right,
young
Mark.
to me.
I am so, am I talking to Jimmy Hollywood?
You think I'm old like Jimmy? I'm not.
No, but he always says that. And you know what? I appreciate the sentiment, but I'll tell you, it's a little grating. My entire life.
Is it condescending?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
My entire life, I've been young. And I know I have a very youthful appearance. Mm-hmm. I thank my mother for that. Good genes. And I take care of my skin and I drink lots of water.
Yep.
But there are times, and I keep waiting for when I'll be old enough.
Really?
I do.
To grow into your age.
So many people, oh, you're so young. Oh, you're young yet. Oh, you wait. Oh, I want to say from the time I started working in this industry, so early 20s, and even now, Jimmy Hollywood every day. Oh, Charity, this is before your time. And again, I appreciate the sentiment, but there are days where it's like, for frig's sakes, I am 40 years old.
Yeah.
I have 2 children. I am a grown up.
Yes.
Stop with this young stuff.
The story why I feel a little bit more confident about doing it is the time you went to go see Wolf on Wall Street and they wouldn't let you in.
Oh my gosh.
Because you were in your 30s.
And that was, when did that come out? To be fair to them, so I'll set the scene. It was a little community theater in Campbellford. It was a Tuesday night. I just needed to get out of the house. So this wasn't like a girls' night out. Yeah. So I was very casual, didn't have any makeup on, hair probably back in a ponytail. I wanted to see the movie. Nobody wanted to go with me. I'm like, I need to check out. So I went. And this group of women had just gone in front of me. I want to say 5 or 6 went in front. I knew some of them. I was talking with them. They invited me to sit with them, but I was like, no. No, I'm sitting by myself. This is just me. I need to do this. They go in. And then, I get up to the ticket window and go to pay, and they're like, there's a lot of excessive drug use in this movie. I'm like, all right. And I slide the movie across. They're like, no, and like a lot of swearing. Okay.
Yeah.
There's some nudity too. And the man was maybe, I don't even know if he was 60. leaning across the counter. He had lowered his voice. It was like clearly uncomfortable talking to me, wanting to make sure that I'm like, okay. And I'm again pushing the money across. No, like an obscene amount of swearing and drug use. Uh-huh. All right, I just want to prepare you. I'm like, here is my money. Yeah. Please, I am going to go sit.
I am more than of age.
I know. I haven't been guarded in 20 years. What is the problem? But yeah, so.
All right, I'll be very careful about that from now on.
And I don't know where that came from.
I don't know, but it's clearly a hot button issue.
You've never had that?
No. Nobody has ever accused me of being young ever. Even when I was young, I was old. Because I do old things. Like,
you do old things.
Right? Like lay clothes out days in advance.
Yeah, but nobody sees that.
Super organized for vacations. Your wife's the only one
that sees that.
No, I've shared it on the air before. Like Kath is actually, because she's been sleeping downstairs a little bit because I wake her up when I leave. Crazy, right? Mm-hmm. So she says, maybe I'll move across the hall. And I said, well, great. Now I got to move my clothes. Because I got all this week's clothes out. Like, couldn't you have told me that before? She's like, can't you just move them? This requires some level of cooperation I'm not used to.
We're so off topic. This wasn't what we were on to talk about today.
So anyway, this is what podcasts are all about.
I'm glad you're back.
Are you?
I am.
I'm not sure.
And speaking of podcasts, do you know we were featured in a podcast?
You told me about that. And I know it started before I left, but I didn't realize it had actually become an audio
I didn't know until yesterday either. I had someone else tell me about it, who's familiar with our show. But then he was listening to Humble and Fred, who do a morning show in Toronto, for those who aren't familiar, and they podcast as well.
Ago,
yes. They've been in the industry, very well known for anybody who works in radio. Humble and Fred, kind of, you know the name.
CFNY and
Rock.
Mojo Radio.
Weren't they on 107, The Edge?
They were
not The Edge.
Yeah, I think they were on The Edge.
Were they on Q, though?
No, I don't think they were on Q.
Okay, they were on The Edge.
Same company.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway,
and if we're wrong, they'll call us.
Exactly. So this individual who listens to us here locally, he's from this area, said, "Oh yeah, they were talking about you in their podcast last week." So I went searching this morning, and sure enough, episode September 27th.
Okay.
We are mentioned about the 10-minute mark. They get into it and talk about us quite a bit because Humble was here in Belleville. That's how it started before you went on holidays.
Right.
Because he went on Twitter and made a comment about us. He just happened to be in Belleville that morning and said he was listening and gave us a very nice compliment.
Yeah.
Said he enjoyed listening to us and there was a bit of back and forth. So he shared it on his podcast last week.
It was, just to let you inside on the tweet too, it started with I don't listen to a lot of terrestrial radio. Now, terrestrial radio means mainstream online broadcast, like we are.
Yeah.
Like, radio, as opposed to, say,
satellite
radio or podcasting for that.
Yeah.
So he said, don't listen to a lot of it anymore. But anyway, listen to these guys and thought did a good job. So anyway, so when we heard about that, I thought, okay, that's great. I want to give them props because I believe, and I can be wrong, this is just a belief of mine, that they are one of the first broadcasters to become podcasters. I think their following on podcasting is largely due to the fact that they got in almost out of necessity because it followed their radio career. When that was, unceremoniously done, they immediately then got into podcast. They saw the opportunity before virtually anybody else on the broadcasting side.
As a way to continue broadcasting.
As a way to do it. Make money, create a, and I thought, wow, that's this whole, like, what's this podcasting? And I've talked about this that this podcasting
this
is
forum,
still
this
in
media.
its infancy.
Yeah.
Like, it's been around for years, and these days, anything older than 2 years is ancient because everything changes so fast digitally. But I read an article this morning on podcasting that every week, more people in North America will listen to a podcast than have Netflix accounts.
Which blows my mind because Netflix is kind of like, it owns the world. Yeah. Everybody watches Netflix.
There was a time when, what's the largest number in the world? It's the people who have Facebook pages. That was considered the largest number.
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
So you would compare anything to having a Facebook
people
page.
Who use Facebook.
And now it's how many people who watch Netflix. That's the largest number in the world. And the answer now is no, podcasting. As a matter of fact, 85 million North Americans will at some point this week listen to a podcast. The average is 8 of them. And there are only 70 million Netflix account owners in North America. So more people listen to podcasts than watch Netflix. And so when we always talk about, what are you watching on Netflix? People are starting to say, what podcast do you listen to?
Well, and that is that's a quite common question in here. Quite often you will come in. We have coworkers here and we'll talk about it. You and Al particularly go back and forth on the podcast you listen to. But I do too. When I'm getting ready in the morning, that's usually when I'll throw it on.
Yeah.
And just listen along while I'm getting ready and doing whatever else. And that's kind of the nice thing. Like radio, you can have it on and listen to it while you're doing other things.
Because it's not the new, but it's the new reading for me. Because I can go for a walk. I can't read or catch up on news or hear different opinions or something that interests me that I would normally sit down to read online. Well, it's almost like an audiobook with the actual individual talking to me.
And it's funny you say that because one of my favorite podcasts is the Dateline one.
Really?
I love because
people are getting busted.
See, I am old.
Yeah.
I am old. On the weekends, I like watching Dateline.
I don't think you should be watching Dateline, Shirley. There might be swearing.
But there's violence. But it's those crime shows.
Right,
and because I if I miss it or I don't get a chance to, I can listen to it because now they have it in podcast form. They've moved it now to that platform so I don't miss an episode. So I can listen to it, as you say, while I'm walking.
Yeah.
While I'm doing dishes and feel like I've seen it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But still keep up with it.
And that's the props I want to give to Humble Howard and Fred is because, it's easy now to say, okay, I want to do a podcast. I'm going to talk about, ways to do it. Not that it's easier, but my point is, here was this blank canvas of a thing called podcasting. What is it? How are we going to promote it? Will anybody listen to it? And what will our content be?
Yeah.
It's a little bit easier now to say, after hearing a bunch of podcasts, you and I put one together starting last September. Well, it's kind of mirrored on other morning show podcasts. Talk a little bit more about things you talked about on the air and a little bit more things going on in your community.
Maybe stuff we couldn't necessarily talk about on the air or didn't have time for.
Yeah. So we can do that, but we didn't invent that. Somebody else has been doing it. And we said, we'll do it and tailor it to our community. And, so again, but I think those guys kind of started it. If they weren't the very first, they sat down and said, all right, how are we going to do it? And based on what they did, other people started. And before you know it, now we have this.
Fair.
So they're still trailblazers on their own in a different kind. So we may be the terrestrial side of that, but they did their podcasting and good on them. So, but I'm glad they like it. But then they talk too about how in our industry, we do such a bad job of communicating with other broadcasters.
Not a bad job so much.
I think we do. I think we do. Let me tell you why.
Do enough, I think.
I think regardless, and here's this industry. Regardless, we consider everybody outside of you and me as competitors. We forget, like not just in our market.
Yes.
Yeah. Like I can't compliment another morning show in another market because maybe they're going to try and get that other station that we want to go work. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, and it's the egos
fed to us.
And
it makes me crazy.
The what's the word I'm looking for? The self-esteem.
Yeah.
All of that plays into it. There's no question in this industry. It's there.
Yeah. So if you pay somebody a compliment, somebody else is going to look at it and say, "Oh, what are you guys up to?" You just can't say.
And it's almost making yourself vulnerable to.
Yeah.
If you pay someone else a compliment, them taking that and thinking all of a sudden, okay, we are better than you. Of course we are. And it's funny how that.
Yeah.
Dynamic, how it all works. It's unfortunate, but you're right. Yes, it needs to be done more, and that's why I think we appreciated it so much from him.
Because it just doesn't happen.
It really doesn't.
Yeah. No. So that was great. Anyway, we appreciate that. But podcasting, should you do it? And I laugh. I've said to Charity before, "Oh my God, everybody gets a podcast." Once we got it, it's like everybody. My daughter talked about she wanted to do it, but she doesn't know what. And I'm thinking, well, if you don't know what to do it about, then why do you want to do it?
Well, and even when you're not here, I have a hard time doing the podcast by myself Because number one, I don't think anybody wants to hear me talk for 15 minutes. Number two, it's finding the content. It's finding that what can I talk about or what's relevant to talk about without Mark. I like the back and forth because different opinions come out, different perspectives come out that way. So when you're by yourself, it's really just you
talking about what you talked about.
This is how I feel.
Yeah, I know. But now we have to have it because it's got to be up here every day. But they said there are a couple of good reasons why you should do a podcast if you're in business, particularly small businesses.
This is very interesting. Yeah.
It says number one is it builds your brand. They said with so many people listening to podcasts today, and 85% of people will listen to the very end. It's not something that you go like halfway through and then just sort of stop. Most people, like once you've hooked them, they want to. And so if it's 12 minutes, great. If it's half an hour, great. You know, I know some of them out there that can be like 2 hours. You know, oh boy, you really got to be good to make me want to spend 2 hours listening to a podcast. But, you know, that's why we keep ours to about 15 or 20 minutes. That's about the sweet spot. People say, yeah, I got 20 minutes if I'm really interested in what they're talking about. But if let's say, you know, again, if you're a chef, a restaurant locally, like I'm just going to say I just want to pick something. And you think, well, why would I do a podcast? Well, what if you were to do a podcast every week saying, I'm Chef Mark from X restaurant, and this week I'm going to talk about how to make the best gravy. And you do a 6-minute podcast on making gravy. And then next week you do one on pastries. And next week you do one on what would make a great Thanksgiving dinner, like this week. And you were to say, oh, okay, because you want to build your brand. You don't necessarily want to promote yourself. Hey, come to my restaurant. But in a way you are. But
by doing this, people can become familiar with you and what you do and how you do it. So they're more likely to Google a website or visit a shop or give you a call. Hey, I have this issue.
Real estate agent who does a podcast, for example, that talks about anything around home building or moving or things to look to in a home or what should you do now that it's fall around your home. And they talk about this is big. Bring in experts.
You mentioned a lawyer.
Yeah, a lawyer. Bring in an expert who wants to talk every week on coming up next week. Liability insurance, why you should blow your driveway in case somebody falls. And it's going to be somebody from an insurance agency who's going to call. They're going to talk about that. And it's so, you know, you're building your brand, your expertise. And again, it doesn't have to be a lot. And you say, okay, well, what do I need? Well, you need a good microphone. You need a good recorder. But you can build a home studio around this for about $500.
Well, and it's a lot of phones now.
Yeah.
The quality is amazing. So if you have the ability even to record it on your phone, it's very easy to upload. And away you go. And if you're just to start out with, just to get it going. And then as it increases, then you look at a home studio. Because I think people hear home studio and they're like, oh, well, I can't invest that or it's too much. But just start with your phone. Just put the mic on and away you go. And just see how it works and see the response. And
the beauty of that is see how dedicated you are. Because if you agree in your head, it's going to be weekly. I think you should immediately write out 8 weeks worth of episodes, topics. Yep. And then do them. Don't upload them. Actually do them. And then go back and listen to them and see, whether you get better at it over the 8 weeks. Don't do them all at once because part of the deal is get better at it. And see whether your interest level is continuing and whether you're more interested in doing it that way. We did that for a couple of weeks before
I think we just jumped right in.
Yeah, something tells me we
might not have uploaded all of the first ones. But we did do a couple and we kind of sent it out to different people and just said, hey, this is what we want to do.
Right.
What are your thoughts? And even getting feedback from people, do that. Put it out to a couple of people and say, hey, does this make sense? Are you able to follow along? Are you confused? Am I going too fast?
Right.
Are you interested in this? And get the feedback. And then
if you already heard the show this morning, are you interested to hear us talk about it again? Or would you be more apt to listen to the podcast if you missed the show?
Yeah.
That sort of thing. So if you were gone. Yeah. So I know people like when we have guests. And tomorrow's podcast is because of something I heard on another podcast. Funny we're talking about this. I heard a podcast. Guest? We're going to talk to Joe Reed, who runs buses here in Belleville.
That's right.
So I heard a podcast that said, should public transit in communities be free? And I just love thinking about that. So I was like, Wow, that's crazy. How could they do that? Kansas City's bus system is free. So they talk about the fact that only 9% of the cash box was needed. 91% comes from either advertising or government subsidies.
Which would make a huge difference.
Makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah.
So they said, if we can only find 9% efficiencies by either reducing some bus lines, maybe some bus lines don't go as late or start as early, charge a little bit more advertising, we can now make it free. And they found that the ridership went through the roof.
Of course it would.
What I'll call violence, but I don't mean that, but people like, say, jumping through the back door.
Yeah.
And having to police it. All that stuff disappeared.
Criminal activity.
Yeah.
Would just be.
Any of that stuff.
Because they wouldn't have to. They could just ride the bus.
And they're trying it in Boston on some around the universities to try and get university students to use the buses.
Of course.
So I thought, so we called Joe. And so we've had that in the hopper for a little while. So that's going to be the podcast tomorrow. Could Belleville...
Joe loves his job.
Oh, my gosh. Thank goodness we have Joe Reed here.
Yeah.
Like, you think this guy runs the buses? We'll talk to him about it?
You want to talk about anything to do with transit in the city? He is on it.
It's like sitting down with a Leafs fan talking hockey. You know, like bring up the Maple Leafs and then just let him go. This man knows buses inside out. But we flat out asked him, could Belleville ever get free busing? And he took it from there. Mm-hmm. What it would take to happen, things they're doing to try and make it more affordable and more user-friendly, including this app we're going to talk about tomorrow on that with them. And then a 5-year survey that they've been doing, the findings of which are going to come out pretty soon on improving it, including up into Thurlow Ward, getting buses up. Like, it's just like we think the bus goes by. Nothing happens by accident with public transit in Belleville. Now that I talked to Joe. Don't take it for granted anymore. What a guy. So that's on the podcast tomorrow. So again, podcasts beget other podcasts, and that's what we learned from the Humble Howard and from Joe. Mm-hmm. So
see, I thought you were teeing up Zoe from the Children's Foundation, but that's actually Wednesday. I'm getting ahead of myself here. Yeah. No, Wednesday, the Radiothon, 3rd annual in support of the Children's Foundation. Can't wait. Yeah. So we will have more guests lined up Wednesday as well. But that's going to be a big day. So it's going to be a big week. Oh, my God.
Yeah, it's a busy. And then,
oh, my goodness.
Then it's Thanksgiving. So,
I know.
And then probably Friday our song will have to be Thank You by Dido. I've already thought of that.
There's no turkey songs? Nothing we can do around.
We should pick a horrible song. We should invite the listeners to pick the turkey song, the worst song.
Okay, you're thinking worst song. I'm thinking a song about a turkey. There's got to be. There's got to be. We got the chicken dance.
No,
we've got that goose. What's that goose one?
Already, I don't like it.
The hockey player did it.
What? No,
yeah, there's a hockey. What? Now I got to look. But there's got to be a turkey one. I can see his face. I can see the hockey player. The goose. You know what song I'm talking about?
Absolutely not.
Yes, you do. You do. I'm going to look it up. I'll
like
have
Eddie Shack or something?
I think it was Eddie Shack. With the goose. See? What was that goose song?
No, why would you want that?
No, I'm just saying.
You want something worse than that.
I know, but there should be. I'm saying because there was.
I'm saying I want the listeners involved so we didn't get blamed.
I know. And then what's this? Oh, no, Johnny Bauer. Honky the Christmas Goose. Oh, that's the goose song I was thinking of. I know, it's too early for Christmas. Okay. But there's got to be a turkey song. I get what you're saying, and you're right. I never thought of that. It takes away our responsibility if the listener chooses it. So,
exactly.
So yours is a better idea.
And then when they come to us and they say, but whose idea was it to turn over the listeners? I'm going to say Charity.
Oh. She's young. She doesn't know any better.
Yeah, she doesn't know. You can't let her go. She's so young. Comes full circle. Mark and Charity Coffee Podcast. We've been doing this for over a year. Can you believe it, everybody?
Does it sound like it?
Yeah. Please download it. We compete with other podcasts in the company.
Mark's going to be ready. Mark's going to be ready for vacation again.
Anytime now. Have yourselves an absolutely fabulous day. Tomorrow, Joe's going to be on the podcast. And Wednesday, again, we are looking forward to the Kids Can't Wait Radiothon. We're going to have Zoe on the show tomorrow to whet your appetite for that and how you can make your donations. You can get the podcast anywhere you can find it, from Spotify to Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. Have a super one.